to The Real. Happy Monday. I hope everyone had a great weekend. Ladies, let's start the week off right. You know what we do.
Yeah.
Girl chat.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's get into it.
First up, they say you should never mix business with pleasure. But what about business and family? Believe it or not, there's a lot of debate about if it's a good idea to go into business with your family or friends. Now, if you are going to do it, the Every Girl blog has some tips on how to do it successfully. They said that to make sure it's someone you can stand to be around a lot, that you both fully trust each other, and finally, communication is essential. So ladies, what do you think about doing business with your bestie?
I think what you said is really important. You have to pick the person that you know, you trust. They also should have the same work ethic, because if you want to really, really work and the other person just wants to go hang out, that's not going to work. And you also should have something in writing. My producing partner, Lisa L. Wilson, and we met as friends. We worked and then we met as friends. And it's really important that the work ethics aligns, but also you have paperwork to protect both of you. I really think
love
that's
that.
That's the key
Even
right
if it's
there. the
family
paperwork.
and even if it's friends, paperwork
contract.
is key. But I also think
Totally.
it's important to talk about what the expectations are. And again, like it said, communication is key. I think from before you go into the business together, one, you gotta know who you're going into business with. Don't just go into business because somebody got the same last name as you, they're your family, or you've known them since you were 10. That does not mean that that's a great person to be a business partner with. So you really have to know who this person is, what the qualities in them that you appreciate as a business partner, and then communicate what your expectations are for each of you as business owners and partners. Like, what's your role that you play? What's the role that I play? And what are those expectations? And I think, again, having meetings that discuss these things and having check-ins, how are you feeling? How am I feeling? How do you think it's going? That is so important. And recognizing what you think may be the pitfalls of you guys going into business together, your fears. That's so important to discuss from the get-go. What is your fear about going into business with me? Well, my fear is that you may be this or you may be that, and really discuss that. Because trust me, you don't want to lose a friendship or a family member over some money.
No, and mutual respect too.
Absolutely.
Mutual respect for one another is important.
Yeah.
I think boundaries are really important because when you're best friends, you guys, already probably have so much everyday gossip to talk about, or, you've got hours of the day that you guys want to be friends, but you got to know when do you turn that off and you got to talk business. I have friends who both started a company together. One wants to talk business all the time, and the other one's like, sometimes I invite you over and I just want to be friends. I don't want to always talk
Right.
business. And so, you have to set up boundaries of like, okay, when are we doing business time for business? And then when are we also just going to be friends and keep everything off the table where you don't pull things in and mix it around? Boundaries are a big one.
I think the best example of relationship and doing business with someone was Jeff Bezos and Mackenzie Scott, because they started Amazon together, and then even though they had a divorce, they split up. They were super successful, and it just tells you how smart of a woman she is, because they had that down pat. I don't think that they had a prenup, but it just shows you that business can be successful. Things might happen where you guys may fall out, but it can work out still, that you have you part ways and everything. So I would say don't be hesitant. If you know somebody is really about the business and they're your family, you really need to make sure that you work with them, because I like working with my family. It's just that some of my family had crazy ideas, and I'm not, the chicken and tire exchange is not going to work, okay? I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry, Ray. I'm not giving you money for that. Sorry.
The chicken and tire exchange.
The Rock,
Go ahead.
The Rock's first wife, they got a divorce, and she runs the company. Like, imagine that.
She was still managing him.
Still can do business together. Exactly. That's like a great example.
I think it's safe to say that being a single parent is one of the hardest things to tackle. But does a happy parent make a better parent? So this article on the Wealthy Single Mommy blog brought up if it's ever okay for single parents to prioritize themselves over their kids, especially when it comes to dating. So a mom wrote in saying that she sees a lot of single dads on dating apps, writing that their kids come first and they're the center of their world, but questions if that's truly honest or realistic. So, ladies, what are your thoughts when it comes to single parents always having to put their kids' needs before theirs?
Take it away,
Does that
Garcelle.
sound right?
I was just gonna say, this one's for
Garcelle.
me. I got it. It depends on the kid's age. It depends on the kid's age. I think, if they're toddlers, if they're in elementary school, my kids are in 7th grade, that they should come first. But I also feel now that my kids are becoming teenagers, I have to sort of shift a little bit because they're gonna be leaving the nest. And then I'm gonna be on my own. So I feel like there's a balance, but if I saw a guy say on an app that he put his kids first, to me, I like that. I think it's sexy. I think it's great
Really?
because you want to know that the kids have a priority. But I feel like at some point there's got to be a little bit of a shift as the kids are getting older
Yeah.
because you'll be alone,
When I was
Yeah.
dating, I would not date guys if they had kids at a certain age. Because first of all, I didn't want no babies.
What age?
Toddlers, no. If they were,
Okay.
I would say around 12 and under. Because I just really feel those are the formative years and everything, like what you just said, Garcelle. So I just made a point of not to date men like that. I do kind of, if I'm honest, get offended a little bit when it's nice to hear a man say, my daughter comes first or my kids come first. I get that. But it's still, I don't know, it doesn't feel right to me in a way. It's like, because
Really?
once you start developing a relationship with that person, because sometimes they could throw it in your face. That's all I'm saying. I'm just like, don't throw it in my face.
I think it's important to be with a man whose children come first, but whose children don't run their life. So there is a difference.
There's a
I
difference,
think there is
yeah.
a difference between saying
There's a
my
difference.
children comes first, meaning the priorities of making sure they're okay, making sure they're taken care of, making sure that they are mentally, emotionally stable. Like those things absolutely should come first. But I do think that, I hear so many parents always say the number one thing they say they want for their children is, all I want is for my kids to be happy. I don't care what they decide their careers to be. I just want my children to truly be happy. Yet parents have the biggest time being an example of that. Actually showing
Good
their children
point.
what that means to pursue their own happiness, what that means to be a happy parent. So they sacrifice so much for that child that then they don't show the child what true happiness is for oneself. And I want to show my children self-love. I wanted to see that in my mother, for her to say, maybe this isn't ideal getting a divorce when I was 13 years old, but I saw her pursue her own happiness. And that ultimately made me really happy. And that's the greatest example I ever could have gotten about what self-love means, is doing the right thing for yourself. So was that her? She could have said, I want to put my kids first, which means technically what would have been best for us maybe wasn't best for her. But sometimes, listen, you gotta learn. Kids gotta learn young. The world ain't gonna revolve around you. Everybody ain't gonna sacrifice everything for you.
That's how we
and I had to
grew up.
learn that, and I respect it.
Right, but nowadays I feel like parents are living more for their kids. And I agree with you that you have to show yourself happiness. They also have to see that it's important you make yourself happy so they know how to model that for themselves.
Yes.
I mean, even when you're flying on a plane, they say, before you put on your oxygen mask, put yours on before you help
Put
someone
yours
else.
on first.
So that's kind of like...
That's right.
Right, exactly. So it's kind of like that's how you should show them.
I saw her sacrifice so much for us in so many other areas. From, there literally were times where she hadn't bought herself nothing, but I had Gap. Gap was a big deal back then, you guys. That was designer.
I
so,
remember.
like, those things, I saw
know.
those sacrifices. So it's not to say she didn't put us first, but at some point, I think it's important to show that balance of what that means when there's a parent, so that you don't create children that also at the same time are, what is that called when you just expect that everyone and everything is going to revolve?
Spoiled?
Entitled.
Entitled. I don't want entitled children that just because you don't like
Why?
so-and-so for daddy, now daddy can't date that woman, but that's the woman that really makes him happy, or vice versa, where there's a child who's like, I just don't want my mom dating anyone else. So now this woman sacrifices her that breaks my heart, and I've seen that happen before.
A lot of women have had to sacrifice. I mean, I have a lot of
So
female
whack.
comics that have given up their careers because they had children. That's one of the reasons why I don't have them, because I knew I couldn't be a role comic. I wouldn't be sitting in this chair, and I've said this many a times, if I would have had kids. I know that. Kids are a blessing, and they're also a sacrifice, and it's something to take seriously.